and thank you for watching this tutorial. I am David Butanda, and today I want to show you an overview about the functionality and the importance of the ERP systems in a company. The ERPs are going to help us a lot. I want to show you the basic functionalities that we can apply in a company by using an ERP system. The example that I am going to be proposing is a company that works in a made-to-stock environment. It means the company produces the requirements in advance, so the production is going to be ready and the finished products are going to be ready so that the customers can pick the products quickly without needing to wait for the materials. And to show you this functionality, please let me tell you that there is not going to be here customization or any other way to do technical parameters. The main purpose of this video is to check the functionality of the ERP system in a company that works under made-to-stock environment. All the customizing was already done by me, and this is just to show how the system is going to be executed in a daily regular basis. So first we go to MD04, we got to the point, and this is the finished product at this plant. We can click on continue and check that currently this finished product does not have future requirements. We are going to create them, and does not have supply elements. And this finished product is produced using raw material Y/002. When I click on continue, I can also check that there are no quantity, neither for this raw material nor for the finished product, and no future requirements and no future supply elements. The finished product Y/001 is linked to the raw material by a bill of materials. So we can go to CS02 to check the bill of material. We need to enter here the finished product, the plant, and the boom usage, and click on continue. This will show us the bill of material is this one, and is for this finished product. We can click here in the header icon to check that we are producing one piece of this finished product. And when we go to icon, we can check here that we need a raw material also for one piece. So we need one raw material to produce one finished product. And we need operations also to produce this one. The operations can be maintained by opening a new session and go to CA02, press enter, and here we can check that for this finished product at this plant we have maintained. We can click on operation. This was already in the system. We need this operation, manufacturing, and setup time 60 minutes, machine time 60 minutes, and labor 60 minutes. And the work center was already maintained here. So those are basically the elements that the system is going to use to check what are the future requirements. So I can go back to the stock requirement list, and as I said at the beginning, the companies will be forecasting the customer demand And this can be done by a sales and operation meeting in which the departments in the company are going to make a consensus, are going to have an agreement of what are the future requirements expected, and also that they need to check that the capacities exist at product group level. So once they do a product group level, they can translate those requirements into item level. And when they have the requirements in the item level, they can enter those requirements by going to MD61 transaction code, enter here the item level, it means the finished product level, enter the plant, enter the version, and from what date to what date, and the planning period, that for this case is going to be months, but it can also be weekly or daily, month or a specific calendar day, week format. We have different, but normally it is going to be entered in month buckets. So when I click on continue, we can check that the current date is August 4th. So as I said, we are going to be producing in August month the requirements for September. So in September we expect that the requirement is 100, also 100. Just to keep it simple, I will enter the same amount in each month. But to define these, different methods can be used. We can use whole winters method that includes tendency, seasonality, leverage, or we can use Brown method. There are different methods, but the important is that we can identify if the behavior of this data. And to identify the behavior of the data, we can check if there are certain parameters like tendency, like seasonality, randomness. Currently, also, there are new techniques that are used to do the forecast, like the machine learning with super vector machines or other tools, other techniques that can be used to forecast the demand. So I will save first. The requirements were saved, and I will exit. And when I refresh here, please notice that we are in the finished product. When I refresh, the independent requirements are going to appear here. When I refresh, we can check independent requirements for this. I made a mistake. I entered 1000. So it's okay because we can check how to correct this. So I double click here. I go to the pencil icon and I said I will enter 100. So 100, I save the changes. I go back and I refresh. So now it is okay. So we have 0 quantity available in stock, and we have independent requirements for 100 for the month of September. We have 100 for the next month and 100 for the next month. We can have here as long as the planning horizon that we define in the system. And the total cumulative quantity is 300. So we have here a projected negative quantity for 300 pieces. These requirements are also going to be passed to the subsequent levels in the bill of material. It means for product Y/002, the requirements are going to be passed to the raw materials as dependent requirements once that we run the MRP. So the next step is that we run the MRP, and we run the MRP by going to MD01N transaction. And here we can select from what plant to what plant, a range of plants, a range of materials, a range of product groups, MRP controller in case that we have more than one, material scope is 8 that we have here for all materials. This product we checked in the bill of material that has components in subsequent levels. So here we need to select change boom components. And scheduling we select here 2 because we are going to produce this finished product in-house. So we need to consider scheduling and capacity that comes from the routing. If we were just buying, then we could use determine basic dates of plan orders. So I select 2 because it is going to be produced in-house, and then delete and recreate planning data. It is that if there are plan orders there, they are going to be changed. So when we click on execute, the MRP is going to generate plan orders and purchase requisition in order to supply the future requirements. So when I go back to the stock requirement list, I can refresh, and now I have plan orders generated by the system. I have plan orders that are going to help us to balance the future requirements of this finished product. So we have independent requirements for 300, and we have plan orders to cover those requirements. If we go to check the raw material, enter the raw material and click on continue, we can check dependent requirements, and they come from the independent requirements of the finished product, and they are for 300 also. Dependent requirement 1 for 100, dependent requirement 2 for 100, and dependent requirement 3 for 300 in total. And this is because we set in the bill of material that to produce one finished product, we need one raw material. That is why the same amount is here. If it had been double, then we have here 200, 200, and 200. So the next step in the process is that the person responsible for do the buying will check that there are requirements that need to be covered. And normally, if the lead time is correct, we can acquire only what is closer in time. So make first this purchase order by clicking here. We need to buy the materials, the raw materials, and then produce the finished product. So first we are going to acquire the raw materials by clicking here, then go to purchase order. We are going to create a purchase order from this purchase requisition. So the system is opening let me double click and go to purchase order. It is not showing, it must be open here. Let me close everything and go back again. So again, I go to MD04, press enter, and I will check for the raw material at this plant. Click on continue, and we can check that the system created the dependent requirements but also the purchase requisition. So when I click here and I go to purchase order, Now it is loading correctly. Here we can check the open requisition. This is the, if we go back to the stock requirement list, let me go back by here, by clicking here. I don't want to save. This 191 is the one, when I double click here and click on purchase order, the system is proposing this one. So I can select this and click on adopt. First, we need to enter the purchase organization. Well, now it was copied. Let me confirm in header that the organization structure is correct. So on purchase organization, I already created with my initials ZDIB. The person responsible for this buying is El Jesus, and the company code is ZDIB. So now I can close the header data. We have the header data, the item data, and the item detail. So when I click on item detail, we need to enter the net price, and I will go for 10 and click on continue. And we need to enter also the currency that for this case is euro, and press enter. The supplier also. I will select supplier Correa and press enter so that the system show me the vendor number. I select the vendor number and I click on continue, and I will try to save this purchase order. The purchase order was created under this number, so I can double click on the purchase order and copy the purchase order number. So I copy the purchase order number, and when I refresh here the system, we can check that now the purchase order was converted to, the purchase requisition was converted to purchase order item. So the next step is that the purchaser follow on the purchasing until this purchase order arrives to the company. And I will copy the purchase order number to do the reception of the material. When we do the reception of the material, the stock is going to be updated here. To do the reception of this purchase order in system, this normally will be done by a person responsible for the warehouse. So I can click on My Go transaction, press enter, continue. System is thinking because of my internet connection. And now we need to select here goods receipt. It is already selected, and purchase order, and paste the purchase order that we want to receive, and check that the movement type is 101, that stands for good receipt. So when I click on continue, I can check the material that we are going to receive. It is for 100. We are just making the first purchase order for the next month of September. The person responsible in the warehouse will check that the quantity is okay and will define a storage location that for this case is also ZDIB. Then click on continue, click on check. This will tell us is everything is okay, document it's okay. So now we can post this purchase order. The document was posted, so I can close this one and go back to the stock requirement list. When I refresh, I can check that 100 is now here. So the person in charge of the production plans will check the material Y/001 and can use this show overview tree to check that the materials are here. he can click here to go to this material and check that there is enough material, and can go back here. I will hide it now, and I know that there is enough material to produce this. So the next step is that we convert this plan order into a production order. So when I click here, I can convert this to production order by clicking here, production order. The system is opening the production order creation. The transaction code is C001 in case that we want to create a production order manually, or we can just simply click here this button, and this production order is going to be scheduled in accordance to the parameters that we define in the routing, the standard times. And we can check here that it's going to start the next August 12th and will finish on September 1, and it will be on time. So I can check that the material is here. I know that it is already here, but all check materials in order are available. I can also check the capacity available in all work centers. So capacity and materials are here. So now I can release this production order by clicking here, release carried out. I want to save this. So now we check that the material was available and also the capacity at work centers. So when I refresh, the production order is created. Production order is here, and now the warehouse person responsible will deliver these materials. Also, we can check the capacity requirements by going to CM01 and press continue. We can enter the specific work center or only the plant and click on continue. We set that the requirements are here. In fact, here there is over capacity. The person responsible of the capacities will use this transaction to check if everything is in accordance. Our production order starts on August 12th. So if we want to check this is by week, we can also disaggregate this by going to settings, general, and we can select date and click on continue. We can check by date. So our production order starts this date. I can double click here to check what is the requirements, and we can check that the requirement is this one. If I go to the stock requirement list, is the same number that is here. So this is the way we can monitor the capacities are not over capacities or low capacities, and make the best utilization of the work centers. So now that it is released, normally the production planner will print this order and will pass the requirements to the warehouse. And in the warehouse, they need to supply the materials for this one. We can double click here and go to the pencil. Go to the pencil icon. And under components, we can check the raw material and components required to produce the material. If I scroll right, I can check that there is no quantity withdrawn yet. So this order is not supplied yet and needs to be supplied in order to start the production. So I can close this one. I don't want to save. I don't want to save. And now the person in the warehouse needs to supply this production order. So I will copy the production order and I will use also again the transaction code mygo to supply this production order. So here I can select goods issue. We are going to issue the material. To order, we need to select order and paste the order. Press continue, and this material we are going to supply this raw material. Check here that we are supplying the raw material from which storage location, from ZDIB also. We can have different storage location for finished product, for raw material, for semi-finished products, etc. And click on check. The document is okay, so now we can post and supply. We can issue the material to the production order. So now the material was supplied. We can go back to the stock requirement list and refresh. And if I enter again to the production order and I go to the pencil edit mode, and again I go back to the components and I scroll right again, I can check that now the quantity withdrawn is 100. So now this production order was supplied and the production process starts. And the next step in the production order is the shop floor controls, supervisors or operators confirm the operations that are finished. And this is going to help a lot the planners because the capacity is going to be reduced and we can check that how well is the production advancing in the shop floor. So we can double click here, go to the pencil again, and if we go to the operations, we can check here the operation that we had in the routing for this work center. And the current status is REL, that stands for release. So this is not confirmed yet. It means the production is already in process, work in process. I don't want to save. First, we need to confirm. Once the order is confirmed, we can check that status again. So to confirm a production order, we can use a transaction code called CO15. Enter the production order. Let me go back to validate that I am taking the correct production order. So let me copy the production order and go open a new session and go to CO15. CO15. Press enter. And I think it's this one, but anyway, I will paste. This is the order I want to confirm. I can click on continue. And the production was for 100 pieces. So I am going to assume that the 100 pieces were correct, no scrap, no issues. So everything was perfect during the production. And this is going to be a final confirmation. So I can post this confirmation by clicking on save. The confirmation order is done. We can also do it by operation using a different transaction, but to keep it simple, I am confirming the whole production order. I can now go back to the production order, go to the pencil, and here under operations, I can check that now the system status is CNF, that stands for confirm. So now the production order is finished. And the next step is that the warehouse again, warehouse, what will we do without you, receives this finished product. And also what will we do without production, right? So we can copy this we can copy this order and go back to the, and I will use my go again to receive the finished products. This time we are receiving the finished products. Goods issue, we need to select here goods received. We are receiving not from a purchase order, but from an order, internal order. We paste the order and the goods received is 101. When I click on continue, this time we are receiving the finished product. So I select that items were okay, and I can enter here the storage location that is also set AB, and like my initials to RI, and check document it's okay, and we can post. So now the finished products are received. Let me go back to the stock requirement list. When I refresh this one, we can check that now we have 100 products of finished product ready to be served to the customers before September. And we can check here the plan orders. The plan orders, there are now only 2, because one was converted into this finished product. And now let's assume that September comes, and now we have the product ready. So now the customer orders will arrive. And it is very important that at the time the customer orders arrive, the forecast, the independent requirements are reduced because we said that 100 pieces are going to be sold, and now if a customer order arrives for 20 pieces, now we need the system. Now the system updates the independent requirements. Otherwise, we will be producing making overproduction. So we need to reduce this forecast, and we reduce this by using a planning strategy. Let me show you the planning strategy that I have selected for this material. So I open a new session and I go to MM02 to change the material master. Press enter. Enter the finished product. I am assigning the strategy at the finished product level. Click on continue, and we can go to MRP3 view. Click on continue. Enter the plant. Set the IV. Continue. And the planning strategy is 10. That stands for make to stock production. And the consumption mode is the way that we are going to consume the independent requirements. So I have selected 2 that stands for backward and forward. Backward is going to help us to reduce independent requirements or forecasts that are in the past and were not consumed by customer requirements. So backward is going to help us to consume past forecasts. We can also use another transaction code called MD76 to erase them. Or we can use this backward forward. So backward and forward is going to consume in the time axis back from the current date, or in the time axis further forward is going to consume 30 days and backward is going to consume 30 days. So we are going to enter the customer order to check how the independent requirements are consumed. This is going to be consumed because currently we do not have any T backward. Backward will be that it will be something in July. So we only have forward in this case. So I will create a customer order by clicking here. I will go to BA01 to create a customer order. And the order type, the standard one, is OR. And I have also created the sales organization set the IB distribution channel set5 that stands for online sales. Now it is very famous omni-channel. Division set5 that stands for main products, and click on continue. So here we are creating a sales order. And sold to party, we created the business role and also the partner functions being with the same number. So it is 100 and 100. The customer performs, the sold to party and the ship to party. Sometimes they can be different entities, but in this case they are the same. Customer reference, I will enter 005. This customer reference is the PO number of the customer and is provided by the customer. I click on continue, and the payment terms is going to be immediately in order to make a good cycle cash conversion. Immediately. In Incoterms, I will select Xworks. That means that we are supplying the product in our facilities, in our premises. So our plant I will enter here as location, our plant. Click on continue. Continue. Freight is determined. Customer reference, click on continue. Go back. And the material is going to be the finished product, Y/001. Order quantity is going to be 50. So we are going to reduce the independent requirements at the half with this customer order. I click on continue. The system will be proposing all the missing data. So it copied the finished product, the item number. I can enter the plant that is going to be supplying, is set the IB, the plant that is going to be supplying. Scroll right. I think this is the main information. I can also enter here the delivering plant, set the IB, and click on continue. If something is missing, the system will propose. So when I try to save, the system will tell me if something is missing. I can go to edit to enter anything that is missing, and it is missing the net value. So I click on the net value, and the condition type that I am using is PR00, that stands for price, PR00, and it's going to be 500 per piece. So when I click on continue, the total net is this one. I can click on continue, go back, and save the customer order. The customer order was saved. Now I can close this customer order and go back to the stock requirement list at the finished product level. When I refresh, you can check here the customer order created, but it is not affecting the balance, the projected available, because in this strategy the customer order is not considered for the project available quantity. It is only displayed. So there are other strategies that we can use in order to change customer order for independent requirements in case that it is necessary. In this case, we are only visualizing the customer orders, and we want to the independent requirements, the forecast is going to be reduced once we supply this customer order. So the next step that we are going to do is supply the customer order by going to the transaction code DL01N we are creating here an outbound delivery, and the shipping point is also set DIV to very high. Selection date is today's date, and the order number is 38. Let me confirm this. Let me go to a stock requirement list, and yes, it is 38, the customer order. So I will go back to the outbound delivery and click on continue. And here we need to go to picking tab to define what quantity we are going to supply it, and we have 100 ready that came from the production order. So 100, we are supplying 50, no issue, it is already as finished product. And then we go to the shipment to select the storage location, that is ZDIB. This is the storage location supplying, and I will try to save this. So the outbound delivery was saved. I will go back to the stock requirement list for the finished product, and at the time I refresh this, the total stock quantity is going to be reduced to 50 pieces. The customer order is going to disappear, reduce, disappear, and the independent requirement, the forecast for September, is also going to be reduced to 50. Because if we expected to sell 100 pieces for the next month, and now 50 are already sold, we need to update and consume the forecast. So when I click on refresh, this is the delivery. It was not posted, so we need to post. Let me go to BL01N, this, continue. We need to go to BLN02. Now the system is not finding anything to be shipped, so we need to go to the change mode. Let me go to change. It's this one. The system will remember the last one. If I go to picking, you can check that the pick quantity is 50, and the shipment tab is also maintaining the storage location. So when I click on post goods issue, outbound delivery has been saved. So now the delivery was posted. Previously it was only saved. So now when I click on refresh, the available quantity is going to be reduced to 50. The delivery now is going to disappear. It only changed from customer to delivery because we didn't post. And one of the 3 independent requirements, the next one, is going to be reduced. So when I click on refresh, now we can check that perfectly. The quantity available is 50. The delivery and the customer order are not here anymore, and the independent requirement was reduced to 50, and the others are not consumed yet. They are going to be consumed as the customer order arrives. So this is how the typical process of a company works under the made to stock environment. I would like to thank you for studying the whole video. I hope this is helpful to have a better picture of the importance and how all the processes are monitored in the ERP systems and the functionality of the ERP. So that will be everything, and thanks a lot for watching this one.